Happy Tuesday, Shredder Nation. Jesse James Jamnik here with another Shred Your Body call. This is episode number 12. I can't believe that we're already at episode number 12. That is, every week, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we get on here, we share either science. What I've really been into is sharing. We built this shredder army. We have thousands of people that are part of our free ER Shred community, and you can find that scrolling across the bottom of our podcast here. You just go to www.ershredders.com if you want to check out that community. As you guys pop in, say hi, let us know where it is that you're coming in from. If you know somebody that can benefit from hearing what I think is a remarkable story, with my special guest tonight, Kari, tag them in the comments. The more people that we can reach, the more lives that we can impact. Even if it's just one person, that's what we're out to do. We're out to literally change global health, and it starts with one person at a time, working from the inside out. So with that being said, I want to get right to this because we got a lot to talk about. And like I already said, my guest tonight is Kari. Kari, welcome to Shred Your Body. I'm really, really excited that you're here.
Thanks, Jesse. It's good to be
here.
Yeah,
thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
You're excited. You're like a whole new person from I've known you now for years, right? We just were talking before the call. Like, we've actually known each other for close to 6 years now. If you know me when I first started with our health and wellness company, the company that we partnered with, but really getting to know and watch you since the ER Shred is developed. I mean, good gosh, Kari, you're like a brand new woman, literally, physically, mentally. Like, it's just so awesome to watch you transform in front of our eyes, and I'm so freaking happy for you.
Thank you. I'm too.
So happy for you. So everybody's popping on. Adam's on, Shannon's on, Sean's on. So we got a good thing going on. So let's start here, Kari. People may not know you, obviously. So tell us who you are. Where are you originally from? Where do you live now? And kind of what is it that you do? How was growing up, and then what is it that you do now for a profession?
Okay, so Kari Eyre Fisher. Last night in the call, Sean actually called me Kari Stanley. That's my oldest son that's married to Crystal's baby sister, Elisa.
Gotcha.
His last name is Stanley. And so he got a little mixed up there, but it is Fisher now. I was born and raised in Brigham City, Utah, a small town, northern Utah. My career goal since I was 3 was to be in the Olympics. I used to watch my sisters with their gymnastics and cheerleading, and that's what I wanted to do, is compete, and I did, and I worked hard. I trained 3 hours before school and after school, and I started competing at the age of 9. And but then when I was about 13, I injured my back, and that was that. I was told I couldn't do it anymore. I still have issues from that, but then it was like, okay, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I was set on that for years. And even though I was really little, I'm the youngest of 9 kids. So I had a big family, a lot of nieces and nephews. I think I have 38 now. So a very big family.
Wow.
Yeah. But
how do you guys keep up with everybody?
Facebook. Facebook. It's kind of funny. I was down in southern Utah this last weekend, and with my oldest brother, he just turned 73, and he was on Facebook. I'm like, you don't see a whole lot of 73-year-olds on Facebook anymore.
Yeah. That's crazy. Well, I have trouble remembering my one sister's birthday and my own birthday. I actually forget how old I am. My sister sent me a message. She's like, "Hey, dummy, you're 41, not 40." I said that I was 40. So I don't know how you guys keep up with everything. So
I do.
Kari, you were competing. Now, when you say you were competing, you were getting into, I know Crystal, my Crystal, she did gymnastics and she used to
Uh-huh.
coach gymnastics. She got up to level 10. Like, were you at that level before you got into like the Olympic training, or where were you at with
No, no.
gymnastics?
That was my goal, was to I always wanted to go to the Olympics. Mary Lou Retton, I don't know if
Okay. Yeah.
anybody remembers her. She
Yeah.
was my idol. She was my
Okay.
idol. That's who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Um, but I was just locally competing at that time. And
Okay.
so and I injured my back on the uneven bars. Um,
Gotcha.
and so but so after that I kind of just started having fun because I spent so much time, practicing. I
Yeah.
didn't really have a whole lot of time to have a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so then
People, I
I
don't think people
made up
realize,
for it.
Kari, what goes into gymnastics training. I know, but tell people like how many hours when you say like when you really aren't, you don't have time to be like a normal kid, so to speak, if you choose this path, right?
Mhm.
People don't realize that some of these gymnasts are like 16 years old, 15, 16 years old. So it's like you're talking about a crazy level to get to. How many hours did you put in?
Well, my mom actually, when I was younger, she managed the bowling alley, and she would actually open up the gym on Saturdays. And so that's why I got into it so early on. And I would just play. I was there all day on the weekends.
Yeah.
Um, Before school, I would practice, and I'd stretch and as much as I can before school, and then after school, I would have 2 or 3 classes um, of training, and then competitions,
Yeah.
and so it was pretty much everything.
For sure. So you said this was about 13 years old now
Yeah,
that you
that
got
I
injured?
injured my back. Yeah,
Okay. So 13 is what, middle school, right? So you're in middle
yeah,
school at this point? Okay.
yeah.
So
I was in junior
obviously,
high.
not super old, but definitely old enough to kind of like, oh crap, I just put in X amount of years and now all of a
Yeah,
sudden life completely flips, right? So what kind of
exactly.
happened in that period now? So you're in middle school, all of a sudden gymnastics, which is your entire life, is kind of like stripped away.
Yeah,
And what happened now? Like
I
what
went
was
a
the
little
next stage?
crazy.
You went
Not,
crazy?
not really crazy, crazy, but just had a lot of fun. I did a lot of dating, um, and just had a lot of fun. Didn't really
Yeah,
worry about anything else.
yeah,
But my life really changed when I just right after my 19th birthday.
yeah.
Um, I I was pregnant.
Okay.
I got pregnant with my oldest son, and I was 18 and decided not to marry the father.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to give him up for adoption, but my mom talked me out of it and says, I'm not going to have one of my grandchildren out there without me knowing them.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay. And she promised that she would, help me out. I can go to college and live at home, and she would help with the baby and everything else. Um, a week after my 19th birthday, she passed away suddenly.
Oh,
Um, so that was a very dark time after that. I It's kind of hard for me to talk about a little bit, um, just because here I am, 19, pregnant, and my mom passed away. I was 7.5 months along with him. I had a lot of dark times, and for quite a few years after that, um, that I don't like to. I like to remember because I need to know where I was at.
sure.
I don't go there again. But I have fought that my whole life since then. Um, the dark thoughts, the harming of myself, and things of that nature that happened for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Um, but then I found a guy that was pretty awesome to take on a couple kids, and I got married, and was married for 20 years. And it was kind of a toxic marriage, and things happened in that. And because of that, my self-esteem was as low as it had ever been and has been since. And that's when food became my best friend, my escape. And, I really didn't realize how much the relationship with food was for me, how powerful it is. The next thing I knew, my oldest son and TJ and Elisa, Crystal's sister, they tricked me. They're like, Mom, come down and go to dinner with us. And then on my way down, they're like, hey, we're at Sean and Crystal's. We're going to have dinner with Sean and Crystal. I'm like, okay. So I went there, and we were there for about an hour. Oh, we're going to go over to Sean's parents, Tony and Randy's. I'm like, okay. And we got to Tony and Randy's, and they're just the sweetest people in the world.
Yeah.
And, but I had no idea what we were, it was just dinner with my kids. And, we had an amazing dinner. And then they're like, let's go into the theater room. I'm like, we're going to watch a movie. I'm ready to go back to the house and relax, And we got in there, and Tony stood up, and he kind of brought me to reality.
Yeah.
Of how toxic my body was, how toxic the world is. This was March 2011. And when I weighed in the next morning, I weighed in at 324 pounds.
Wow.
And I'm only 4'11".
Yeah.
So I hadn't really realized, I'd never gotten on a scale. But I just didn't really realize the impact it was having on my kids. And my granddaughter was just little, and my son looked at me and said, Mom, we want you to live. And so that was the eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
To start to change.
Yeah. That's a lot, Kari.
Yeah. And I didn't even tell you everything. I mean, I lost my dad. I lost my sister and brother. And so I've had a lot of loss in my life. And I look back, and food was always there for me. And, the one thing that I've realized is people don't realize their relationship with food, and how usually we grow up when anytime we get together with family, anytime we get together with friends, hey, let's go out to eat. Let's meet for lunch. Let's meet for dinner. Any family gathering, there is food everywhere, right? And so we are raised to believe that food brings joy and happiness and family and love.
Yeah.
And
now, did you learn that growing up, Kari? Is because I'm trying to fit, for me, as you know, like I like to poke and prod. So if I poke too much, just let me know. But my brain's kind of firing here, and I'm trying to follow this story, and I'm putting the pieces together. And first off, I want to just tell you that I truly, first of all, I'm here for you. I hope you know that. And this whole community is here for you. And I know you know that. I know you sense the love. Like, this is something special, right? We keep saying that this is so far beyond losing weight, and this goes so much deeper. And you know that, you feel that now. So I just want to take a second and really honor that and share that with you. I'm really proud of you for being strong. It takes courage. And, I can tell you that there's already comments of people who have said that they're crying and they feel you and you're touching something in them. So we all go through a lot, right? We all have our things. And, you went through this dramatic thing as a child. So 13 years old, what you know at that age, and I know a 13-year-old is, my daughter's going on 11. It's like when you set your mind to something, it's like the world, right? So
Right.
it's like, bang, that's crushed. Couple years later, you find yourself, you're this crazy, you no longer have this structure, this discipline. You're kind of like this loose cannon. You find yourself pregnant. You go through all these mental emotions. You probably still haven't really healed. You just learned to block it, right?
Yeah.
And now you're carrying this with you. And this is what happens to people. I want people to see that it's like there's
Hmm.
a reason for everything if we can dissect it, right? And then you get to this point, and now you have this dramatic loss of your mom, right? Now you're 7 months pregnant, and now you really don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And when you say dark times, like, you know, you kind of touched on it a little bit, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I understand that because I've had many of those feelings where it's like I just don't know why anymore.
Yeah.
Like I just don't know why I don't know why I should be here. You know what I mean? It was really hard to figure out. Like those middle years of life suck, right? Like
Yeah.
trying to find your purpose if you fit out and don't realize that that's the cool thing to do. Um, and then in between that, you've had your dad pass away. And so it just seems like it just keeps going and going and going. And you've never really had that. But for some reason, food all of a sudden turned to this comfort of yours.
Oh yeah.
So like did it come was it every time you felt down and depressed you ran for something? Is it every like how did like what do you think like where was that correlation? Do you know have you ever thought about where like how that happened?
I actually have. I've worked on it a lot. Um, when I first started with the nutritional program,
Yeah.
I really wanted, I'm a researcher, you know. I've always liked to get to the bottom of things
Yeah.
and figure it out. And so I really worked on myself and kind of going back a little bit further. I didn't really mention I'm a recovering addict.
Okay.
I don't tell that to a lot of people. I didn't use very long,
Yeah.
but it was enough um, to scare me and to scare my family. And so, getting clean and sober, um, I really, really worked on myself a lot, which is kind of weird, kind of hard for some people to really look deep inside of themselves. And so I truly believe that if I could figure out the correlation, you know, what happened when because I really, when I saw that 324, the 324 number,
Yeah.
I'm like, that can't be right.
Yeah.
How is that possible? And so I had to really look into myself and my brain and my relationship with food.
Yeah.
And honestly, boredom was a big one. Um, you know, being neglected by somebody that you love. Um, so you're kind of by yourself.
Mm.
And so a lot of it, I find myself, if I let myself get bored, I will start looking for something. I'm a grazer. I'm an emotional eater. I I'm a snacker, you know. And so if I'm not careful, it's very easy for me to go back there. But I
Mm-hmm.
also know my triggers. I know
Mm.
my triggers, and number one is boredom, stress, stress eating. You know, who doesn't do that? Some really
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah.
And anytime I'm under any stress, or if I am really any emotion, is what I found. When I'm happy because of that emotion, that connection that we're raised with, because
Mm-hmm.
anytime my family got together, there was so much food. And it wasn't
Mm.
healthy food, you know, it was very high carb, very high sugar foods, you know, and it was just always out there. So you could just always go back and get more and get more and get more. And so, and that would make you happy because everybody's laughing and having fun. And so it's an emotion thing, that connection between emotion and food, that
Yeah.
relationship. You kind of have to divorce it at
Yeah.
some point. But you still have kids kind of, so you're divorcing food, but you still have to kind of work with it. As some divorced parents might realize, you have
Yeah.
to still work together to raise these kids.
Oh yeah. It's
With
a challenge. I'm
Yeah,
a divorced parent with the 10-year-old, 11-year-old that I co-parent,
yeah,
with my ex, and it's long distance, and it's a challenge. I have different values around this stuff than she does, even though she thinks it's there. Mine's kind of just, you know what I mean? Like, it's tough. I get what you're saying, but okay, so this is making sense. So everything growing up, like most of us, was centered around food. It was
yeah,
the memory of happy times, people laughing, comfort, holiday season, celebration, right? We get these connections in this very young part of life that really don't go away from us, right? So
yeah,
now it's starting to make sense. So now you have these dark times, these bad times, and
mhm,
you're going back to what brought you happiness. You're going back to what triggered memories of
mhm.
the good times versus where you were at now.
Yeah. When
Did
you
I,
think
did
about
I
it,
hear that right?
when you go to a funeral, after a funeral, what do? They have a
Eat.
luncheon.
Yeah,
So that's when, it's not just happy or sad. I mean, so there's that connection too,
yeah.
also.
Okay.
But, going and the reason why I went to get certified as a certified health coach was because I needed to find out more.
Okay.
I wanted to know more, because I'm one that if I'm not positive with the answer, I don't tell somebody until I am.
Mm.
And so
So now
I
you
wanted to
you
know
went to
more.
get so people know
Mhm.
you've spent the last 20 years of your life in the medical profession,
Oh yeah,
right? In
yeah.
some way, shape, like you've been a medical assistant, you've been an EMT,
Mhm.
you're a, certified integrative Institute of Integrative Nutrition health coach. You're a certified B.E.S.T practitioner. And what does B.E.S.T stand for, so people know?
Best is bioenergetic synchronization technique.
Okay, and there was something else too. What am I missing?
Um,
E-
oh,
EMT.
I actually taught
You were a
at
teacher. You were
college.
a teacher. Okay, so you are somebody who's educated
Yeah,
in this space, but yet the power, the raw power, I talk about this a lot, right? That power that food has,
yeah,
you like, most of us know, like we know, I truly believe that we know what to do and what not to do. But why we do the things we do is something that we all have to figure out for ourselves, right? Okay, so now during these times, just so we can understand the story, when did you start the medical career? Around what age was that?
Let's see. My dad, he got sick, and he was getting really a lot worse.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted to be able to help him.
Okay.
I wanted to be there for him and understand what he was going through. And also, because of my marriage, number one, I want to say my ex husband is an amazing man,
Yeah.
and but he had a disease that an addiction that I tried. I fought for a long time against it,
Yeah.
and so I needed to find a way that I could support me and my kids.
Okay.
It was kind of a way out of the marriage,
Yeah.
but I was so beaten down emotionally that I kept staying. I stayed for a lot longer than I should have,
Mm.
um, mostly out of fear, of the fear of not being able to support my kids, not being able to be everything because I wasn't everything for myself
Sure.
at that point. Um, I couldn't even show up for myself, let alone my kids. And so there were a lot of hard times with that. But so I think it was in 2003 when I started school.
Okay. And
Um,
that was based off of what you just shared with us, where
yeah,
you wanted to secure, I guess, essentially freedom for yourself, to know that
yes,
you could be in control, right? Instead of
yeah,
depending on someone else and you were kind of stuck. Um, yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot of those stories, unfortunately, right? You
yeah,
just feel stuck. You don't even know what to do, and it's such a scary road to take that leap that you just it's like one before you know it, it's year after year after year after
yeah.
year, and
It
yeah,
it goes by really fast
real
when
fast.
you're in the depth of it.
Feels
You
like
know,
forever on the day to day, but when you turn around, it's like bang, 4 years, right? And it's like,
yeah.
holy crap. So, okay, so you get into the medical field, you start doing that, but obviously there's still so much
Oh yeah,
that hasn't been addressed, hasn't been healed. Like you're just in like survivor mode, trying to be mom and set yourself up so you could take care of your kids.
yeah,
Um, right? Like
exactly.
so now you get to this point, you're 324. That's what age now?
That was in 2011.
Okay. So 2011. So that's a 7 year gap
That was
now.
10 years ago.
Okay.
So I was 42.
So 10 years ago. So 2003, you start in the medical industry and medical field. 7 years later, you
Hmm.
find yourself escalating to 324. And thankfully, your son, right, and
Yeah,
your daughter-in-law, they cared enough, but they probably weren't sure what to do. But they cared
yeah.
enough to try to, I guess, stage an intervention, if you will, like a life intervention,
Basically.
saying, "Mom, like we want you to be here," right?
Yeah, yeah.
What did that feel like to you? Like, because how did you
It was
feel when
heart
that happened?
wrenching.
Yeah.
It was heart wrenching, but you know, when I talk about my kids, I get very emotional because they didn't have it easy
Mm,
going through all of this with me. Um, my oldest son, TJ, is an
mm,
amazing man, and well, all of my kids are amazing. Just the fact that none of them went to jail, none of them have, they're all pretty successful.
yeah.
And sometimes I wonder who raised them because I'm like, I don't remember raising you this way. But he was my rock. He was
Mm,
the one that um, I woke up every day for after my mom passed away. Um, he was my why for a very long time.
yeah.
Um, and so for him to stand up to me and say, "Mom, you know," it wasn't out of character for him, but I just didn't realize that, because they were grown.
Yeah.
He was a grown man, married and
Yeah.
had a daughter. That he really even um, realized that if I didn't do something, if he didn't do something, or if somebody didn't do something, that I wouldn't be there,
Mm,
and how important I was to him. It was just heart wrenching to think that I allowed myself to even have that in my mind of not being there. And so, yeah, I cried many times over that one. Very proud of him. And, and I'm very grateful and thankful that he did. And I don't know if Sean and Crystal or Tony and Randy realize that where I was at when I was at their house.
mm.
Um, and where I was at mentally, not just physically, but mentally. And I was so broken, and that they truly saved my life.
Mm,
Sorry. They truly did.
mm,
And in many ways, though. And so um, that journey that light that they gave me. It hasn't always been easy though, even though, I started on the program, it was like, I am doing this. I was bound and determined. It wasn't easy. It was so hard, but I was very strict with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And before I knew it, I had lost the 100 pounds, and I found strength. I found strength in the community, in people that around me, and that I found strength in myself. The fake it till you make it, or, borrow mine until you find yours kind of strength. From other people. People probably don't even know how many people that, would make a comment or post something that got me through that next hour.
Yeah.
And
Um,
that. So
I want to tell you something. You said something that I don't want to let go without telling you. You said, you almost did it. You did it to yourself again when you said you looked at your son and you don't know where, you asked where he, who raised this kid. And I don't even think you realize that you dealing with your stuff, I'm going to call it stuff, you
okay.
dealing with your stuff circle, right, of all of it, and being so strong and being such an amazing mom and never giving up and always fighting and wanting to get better no matter what. Kids, I believe kids are very, very smart. They pick up on so much more than what we think they do. And, you know, he wouldn't have had the courage to have that fight, and that if he didn't see that from you, and you might look at it and say, wow, I could have done more, but you did everything that you possibly could.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, Kari. Like, don't let that go. You deserve to have that, because that was because of you. And thankfully, he learned that from you, to then have the courage to say, Mom, like, I care so much, you know what I mean? Knowing that it could have went completely wrong, the wrong way.
Yeah.
This makes me emotional because I have a story with my mom that, you know what I mean? It wouldn't necessarily go that way, you know? Um, yeah, that's a lot. So, okay. So by the way, Sean and Sean's on, and I know I saw Randy post. She didn't know that you felt that you didn't know that you were going there, and that it was a surprise. But let me tell you something. The four of those, all the Escobars, literally saved my life too. And never stopped believing. And they're just some of the most genuine, down to earth, kind-hearted people like you will never meet.
Yeah.
You just don't meet people like that.
Oh, I know.
You don't meet people like that. So, okay, so they say they give you this solution, and you say, hell yeah, I'm going for it. Like, enough is enough. Something inside you just said, boom, your son mentioned it to you. You lose 110 pounds in 7 months.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, that's crazy. That's crazy.
It was a little
110
surprising.
110 pounds. Do you even know what happened? Like, you understand, or is it just like this? You just did this complete like 360 and just like.
The thing about it is, I didn't exercise one day during that whole 7 months.
You just changed the food.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. That's the power of food, right?
Being 4'11" and weighing over 300 pounds,
Yeah.
you don't really feel like exercising. There was at about 5 months, I guess at 5 months, I did break down and buy a cheap treadmill on Facebook, and because I thought, okay, I know I had tried so many things. I say I tried, but I never actually did them.
Yeah.
I have to have it simple. I know me, and I know what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do.
What
And
did you try, Kari? What did you try? Sorry, I didn't mean to. I want to just
no,
figure out
that's fine.
what is.
Oh, what the HCG shots.
Okay.
I did that. I tried, different products, Herbalife and Shakeology and all of those
Yeah.
others, and then just went Joe Blow on the shelf,
Yeah.
whatever was cheapest,
Yeah.
that I could. Thought, well, I've heard this is really good for
Yeah.
you. So I tried different things, and I tried, just cutting back calories, and cutting back carbs and
Yeah.
fat, and cutting out soda and all this stuff, little things, but never really longer than 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a
No, I
2 week
mean,
two
it's
week
what
mental
happens.
span.
You're telling a story that so many people can relate to.
Yeah.
I talk to people all the time, like, well, I've tried all these things. I'm like, did you try or did you do? Did you try like for a
Yeah.
couple days and then it was like, you made up an excuse again? So what made you stick? Like when you met after you met Tony and Randy, you got this nutritional system, right? It's kind of along the same lines, except we know the science is a little better, ingredients, so on and so forth. But besides the fact, it's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell made you stick to this one when you did it back then?
That first night,
Ah,
that I wasn't about to let my son down, my
mm,
granddaughter down, and I wasn't about to let Sean down. Um, Really, that first 9 days, um, in 9 days I lost 28 pounds.
wow.
Um, and so it was like, wow. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't exercise. It was tough,
Yeah.
giving up, I gave up a lot of soda and coffee and all of these things. And I stuck basic,
Yeah.
shake, 400 calorie meal shake, cleanse days.
Hmm.
I, and I did, but I just kept going. I just did back to back to back to back. And I just, and I started feeling better by about the third month,
Okay.
and started feeling like I could do things. I could
Mm,
walk. I could get down on the floor a little bit more with my granddaughter, and so little things just kind of would pop up throughout that kind of gave me the little bit of boost to keep going.
yeah.
But mainly, at 7 months after I started, I got divorced.
Mm,
Um, I got the strength, and I felt so strong about myself that I was done living somebody else's, I don't know, not their dream, nightmare. um, I was done with not taking care of myself.
mm.
And so but shortly after that, um, that's when the health crisis started. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't have all of these when I weighed 324 pounds, you know, but I kind
Yeah,
of,
so let's get into that now, Kari. So
yeah.
you have this crazy transformation,
Mhm.
divorce happens, and the way you explained it to me was for the last 8 years, and then
Yeah.
this leads up to obviously where we're at today. But for the last 8 years, you've been in this plateau. When you say
Yeah.
health crises, what were you experiencing? What do you mean by that?
So after I got divorced, I was passing out. Um, and I thought it was just because of stress. And so I, being in the medical field, my boss, he was a nurse practitioner, and he had just left the college and opened up his practice. And I was talking to him, and I'm like, oh, I keep passing out. I keep blacking out. And he's like, you need to come in and see me. So I went in to see him, and they did some blood work, and my white blood cell count was highly elevated.
Okay.
And so that's when things kind of started. And, like I said, my sister and brother in law or brother both passed away from leukemia. And so that was a high concern. But, you know, so I just I've gone through 10 years of testing, you know, it's always been high. And so then everybody's like, well, I wonder if it's just inflammation, you know, there's something going on, but they couldn't pinpoint it.
So you have this. So if people aren't aware, what does that mean when you have a increase in white blood cells in your blood work in medical terms, right? Share with everybody what that means. What is that? What is that an imminent sign of?
That there's an infection or inflammation somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your body's under attack, right? Your white blood cells are like the white blood cells are like the knights in shining armor, right? They like come to the rescue inside the body. And you know what I mean? Like you want them present at certain times, but you don't want them at high levels all the time, right? They can be really bad too.
Yeah.
So 10 years and you never figured out, they never understood, you just kind of been like poking and prodding for all this time?
Well, the first one I did, my red blood cells were low. And so that's why I was passing out. I had your red blood cells last 28 days.
Yep.
Mine were only lasting 21 days.
Interesting.
And so it's called hemolytic anemia. And so that's what was going on. But again, I didn't quite understand why all of these things were happening when I had lost weight, you know. Yeah. But the thing is then I didn't really realize, because I was going through all of these testing and so many tests, that I wasn't losing any more weight, you know. But that's when the plateau started, and it didn't matter what I did. But it just stayed the same.
Was there any other like traumatic things? I know you said divorce, right? Was that a very rumbly time? Was that
It was difficult. It was difficult, but yeah, it was empowering at the same time.
But stress levels definitely were increased, or
yeah.
Okay.
It was definitely increased. And so with the stress and then the stress of not knowing what was wrong.
For sure.
What was going on in my body, you know.
Yeah.
The gut issues started really bad at that time also.
Yeah.
And so it did, and I got to the point where I felt like food was trying to kill me.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't, but even if I didn't eat, or if I ate healthy, what I thought was healthy, and it didn't matter. My weight stayed between 210 and 215, no matter what I did.
Yeah.
And so I was like, why is this? It drove me crazy. And I started researching, and I would listen to talk after talk. I'd read research paper after research paper, anything I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
You know, about weight. I'd go back to my textbooks and read, and so I'm like, there's got to be something. You know, there's got to be somebody somewhere.
It's almost more confusing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know. I realize the more like certifications and classes I've taken and stuff, I almost think that it actually made me smarter and dumber at the same time.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, like it made me smarter and dumber at the same time, because it confused me. You know what I mean? Like I fell into the trap of thinking that, you know, oh, I should do this because this, or I should do this. And it was really, you know, I remember that confusing time. Yours is a whole different story, but I definitely understand. Like here you are now, this confusion, this mass confusion. And what are you doing? You're rifling through textbooks. And especially if we both went to IIN, like, girl, you learned over 100 different dietary theories. Like, which one's right? Like,
exactly.
Which one's for me?
You mentioned that, and when you were talking about that, you know, going through, and you're like, wait a minute, there's all these different ones. Which one is right? Which one is wrong?
Yeah.
But isn't it possible that a little bit of this is right, and a little bit of this is right, and a little bit of this is right? You know, I was thinking the exact same thing when I was in school. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not making sense. Why is there so many? And the doctor that I work for right now, He's a family practice doctor, but he's also a certified weight management doctor.
Okay.
And, and so I picked his brain every chance I got.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, what about this? What about this? And then I realized that, not everybody has an answer.
Sure.
Even doctors, they gave me misdiagnosis over misdiagnosis. They kept changing it over the last years.
Yep.
And that's when I got to reading Sean's post, back in September.
Yeah. So let's get to this part now and wrap this baby up, right? So now you have this so this is bringing us up now. Now you have all this stuff. You've tried all these different ways. You've tried all these different diets or whatever. And finally you get to this thing. And now one of your crazy distant family members here, Sean and Crystal, start posting about this theory, right? This ER shred, like, let's eat meat and butter and salt, and you know what I mean? And I remember when he called me, like, I was like, what is going on? But you know what I mean? Like, the more you actually like take a step back and connect the dots, you realize how powerful this is and how many different scientific things that it's pulling from and what it's really addressing. One being chronic inflammation, the second being insulin, which is the most powerful hormone. Like, if you can regulate your insulin, you are on your way to good health. Let me just tell you that. And we are smacking that right in the tushy, right? So you see this crazy post, and what pops into your brain? Like, what do you think? What do you think?
I thought Sean had gone off the deep end.
You've gone off the damn deep end, Sean. He's dressing up in caveman outfits and swinging swords out by the pool like he's lost his marbles, right?
But it also reminded me of the Sean that I met a little bit. But his excitement about this was drawing. But what really kept me listening and doing was that his story. Knowing that he had this health issue, which I had been the exact same thing but I've been dealing with it since I was for 10 years, 20 years, the exact same, where I just had figured, oh, okay, that's part of my life. If I eat, I've got to be somewhere close to a bathroom. If I eat, I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to be in pain. If I eat anything, I'm going to be bloated and just awful things. And so when I saw him, because I had seen him, before, and I knew something was going on, but I wasn't quite sure because I knew he had other things going on. But when I saw his post, and he drew me in with his excitement, but then he kept me there with his story. And I was to the point, at that point in my life, my birthday was right there. I turned 52, and I'm like, I am so tired. I am so tired of being afraid of food. I was so tired of not knowing and not having the control over how I was feeling.
So are you telling me that the ER shred was kind of like an effort? Like, I'm so tired of everything. Like, what do I got to lose? And I know Sean, I trust him. And I mean, really, his story is something special. You know what I mean? Like, I got to witness it. It's very powerful. I'm seeing crazy things happening in my own health. And Kari, I thought I was a pretty damn healthy guy. You know what I mean? Before we kind of cracked this code, like, I thought I had it going on, I mean, but him and Crystal, going from just, I remember his phone calls. Like, I felt so bad, he's like, you got to keep this between us. You got to keep this between us. Like, he made me like, I was like, I never share anything. Like, I had to say it every time, and Crystal with her acne and stuff going completely vegan. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, this doesn't make sense. Here I am. I'm like a goddamn hot air balloon every day, blowing gas out my ass nonstop, thinking that that's going to be the way that it's going to be because I ate so much what I was told to eat healthy, you know? It's crazy. So you decide, okay, the hell with it. I'm going to go for it. And
Well,
your
sort
first,
of, sort of.
okay, okay, go ahead.
So after my divorce, I have to add this real quick.
Okay.
5.5 years ago, I was feeling really bad, and I was sitting there eating. I was eating an angel food cake, just out of the package, and I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw somebody that I grew up with. He grew up across the street from me.
Yeah.
As I was I've known him since I was 8 years old. And I'm like, I wonder what he's up to. So I messaged him, and that was in July of 2015. And May 6th, we'll celebrate our fourth wedding anniversary. And
Crazy.
this man that's in my life now is incredible. It was kind of interesting because he wasn't who I really thought he was growing up. He had changed over the years, but
Yeah.
he only ate organic food. He worked out. He was extremely healthy and mindful, and but without his support and his encouragement, I never would have tried it. And honestly,
Gotcha.
um, I see Sean and Crystal in their relationship. And by the way, congratulations on your engagement.
Well, thank you.
Having that partner is so supportive,
Yeah.
and he with anything, but really with my health, is something I've never had before. And that alone is what really got me to go ahead and do this.
Hell yeah. That's powerful.
Yeah.
It's the mental, it's part of the mental piece.
Yeah.
We talk about this a lot in our community, don't we? It's not just the physical, it's the mental that you have to get to. If you can get the mental piece,
Mm-hmm.
the physical piece is going to come. Because when you get the mental game down, you're good to go. You're good to go, right? And
And
we're going
that
to be here. We're going to be here until you get it, for crying out loud. We're going to be here until you get it. So you started your first shred when? When was your first
October 2nd, 4 months ago today.
October 2nd. You were like one of the original. You were like, hell yeah, these crazy people. No, everybody thinks they're nuts, but I'm going to jump in the fire with them. I'm going to jump in the fire with them. And you went for it. And you have been a consistent shredder. People ask me all the time, well, Jesse, how many shreds can I do? Well, let's look at Kari. Kari, how many shreds have you done? You lost damn track. You just kept going, didn't you?
Yeah, because it's like I do 5 shake meat days and
Yeah.
2 cleanse days every week.
Yeah.
I cleanse every week and just don't stop.
So as a total, you have lost what now?
52 pounds. I'm going to weigh myself tomorrow because I've been cleansing. I cleansed yesterday and today. Today's my second day of the cleanse. So I'll weigh again in the morning. So 52 pounds so far.
52 pounds. And how many inches have you
68.
went? 68 inches.
Total inches.
Lenny, the shred guru, the shred genius is on the call. If he can calculate for me how many inches of fat that is for you, because he loves to do that when it comes to inches lost.
Yeah.
68 inches off your body in 52 pounds. That is freaking remarkable since October. But more importantly, Kari, I want you to wrap this up for everybody.
Okay.
What do you feel the difference is? You have your husband, which is the emotional piece. That's huge.
Yes.
When it comes to the ER shred, you've tried so many different diets. You have tried so many different ways now. You were stuck for 8 years. You have trained yourself in all sorts of medical stuff. I know some of the stuff that you've learned, right?
Yeah.
What is the difference? Explain to somebody what the difference is with the ER shred compared to everything else that's out there, the keto, the Shakeology, all the other stuff. What's the difference?
Simplicity, basic. Honestly, It's so easy. It's easy. It's not difficult. It doesn't, people like to get overwhelmed or something, and that's what happened before, is because you add all this and this and this, well, what about this? Oh, I don't want to get rid of this.
Yeah.
But when you eliminate all of the culprits, and it's like, why try anything else?
Yeah.
It's just so simple, though.
Yeah.
It's just simple, and it's just to the point. This is it. It's just, it's hard to really put into words how different it is this time with this, other than, the interest in the, buying new clothes is always great, but, going from a 2X, and some 3Xs, to looking into a medium. I never imagined that I would ever be in a medium again.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And that feeling inside, again, it's the emotion, but this time the emotion isn't tied to the food. The emotion is tied to the results of my lifestyle.
Yes.
And that's key, is
got it.
Tuning into the emotion that you feel, and knowing when you eat crap, you feel like crap, and what that does to you and to your mind. I mean, I'm all about mind, body, and soul. The reason why I became a B.E.S.T practitioner is because that's what I deal with, and I de-stress people, and I de-stress myself. I've learned to work on myself. I do the mortar march every day, and I do, thankful and grateful. I'm thankful and grateful for whatever it is that I need for that day to get me through. The mental clarity. My life is crazy, between kids and grandkids and working full time and having my own practice and health coaching and having a new marriage, still honeymooning, there, and learning all of these things and learning a new way of living.
Yeah.
I had a life for 20 years. They weren't bad years. It wasn't a bad life. It was a good life. I have 4 amazing kids. But now,
and 9 grandkids with 1 on the way.
Yes, with 9 beautiful grandkids and 1 on the way. But now life is completely different. It is amazing to wake up in the morning. I don't sleep much. I maybe sleep 4 or 5 hours a night. But it's okay. And everybody's like, how do you do that? I'm like, I wake up, I have my shake, I go, whatever. I eat my meat, I have my shake at night, I do my meditation, I go to sleep. It's just a new way of living, but it's all in my mind. My mind has changed. My way of thinking about myself, about what I want. I'm 52 years old, and I'm not going to start a new career or anything else, but I've learned to just enjoy today and enjoy, I kind of took pictures down out of my bathroom because I don't need to see them anymore. Because of this. And I am just happy. And I'm happy with being, not that everything is wonderful, crap happens all the time, things jump up, stress happens. Sometimes without us realizing that it's there. But if you're already set in your mind that this is the way it is, there's no stopping you.
There is no stopping you. You're so right. It's crazy. People, as you get healthier and healthier, right? It's funny. I've been doing this for a long time, Kari, and people will be like, "Oh, it's so easy for you. Oh, it's you're in shape. It's so easy." I'm like, one of the reasons why being healthy is so amazing, why I think health is our greatest wealth, right? Is that it also not just doesn't give you the power to go exercise and run or pick up heavy weights, or
Mhm.
that's all like you don't even have to do that. That's like specific choices. You know what I mean? Like I find joy out of that, but healthy in a way where you're physically and mentally healthy, you are prepared to handle the challenges that
Yeah.
life is inevitably going to throw at you.
Yeah.
It's going to happen no matter what. I don't care
Exactly.
how healthy you are. I don't care how much money you make. And it doesn't matter, right? Like inevitably life is going to throw things, and you're
Yeah.
right. Like you getting healthier, which is building your confidence, which is, your brain fog is gone. So your brain's firing on all cylinders. Your hormones are firing on all cylinders. Like if people don't understand that that is all connected, the gut, to the brain, to the hormones, to every single bite of food we take.
Yeah.
You're just realizing all of it. It all matters. It's not just one thing. It's not like I have to eat all my kale, right? It's like I got to have this balance, and I got to have this whole holistic health sphere in check. And it really creates this beautiful, beautiful thing. So, Kari, that's so awesome. Your story is seriously inspirational. I know there's so much more that we can dive into, and I just wanted to thank you for sharing. I wanted to thank you for being brave. There's so many comments. Go back and really look at the comments, because there's a lot of people out there that are connecting with you, and who knows how many people you can touch. Like down the road, thousands of people are going to watch this, and I can't commend you enough for just being brave enough, because it's not easy to put yourself on video
No.
and talk about life. It's
Yeah.
not easy. And it takes courage, and I'm really, really proud of you, Kari, not just for your physical transformation. That's I think we should get healthy, and the byproduct is lose weight. We don't lose weight to get healthy. People have that shit backwards. The goal is to get healthy, right? And the
Yes.
byproduct of that is our body will follow if we are honoring the temple, the one and only temple that we are given, and we honor that. The body will follow if we just take care of it. And girl, you are crushing it. You're setting an example in our community. People know that they can go on and on and on. I mean, you are literally a shred warrior example for sure. For sure. I'm really so
Thank
proud of you.
you.
I'm so proud of you. I'm happy for you, like genuinely happy for you.
And I am definitely here for anybody. Um, that's just who I am. I'm willing to help, answer questions. You know, it doesn't really matter who brought you in or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, um, but I'm always here for anybody that needs it. And so
See,
that's
this is
what I
why
do.
you're such a great human being too, is you're just offering it up. And that's our community, right, Kari? That's our
Yes,
community.
that's one thing we didn't really talk about is how important our community is. The people in there, you know, they're. I haven't met one person that's in there for the money. I haven't met one person that isn't in there that doesn't truly care about other people
Yeah.
and helping others. And
Yeah.
so that's one thing that is truly amazing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful thing that we got going on. So, for anybody who sees this that's not part of that community, www.ershredders.com. If you want to learn about some of the science and the protocols and what the hell is the ER shred, the elimination, the reset, and the shred, and the community aspect, go to www.ershred.com. We do this call every single Tuesday. We share another amazing story. Make sure that you tap in, put it on your calendars every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central. Tomorrow night, we have a Shred Your Testimonial call. If anybody wants to come on, anybody who's had a transformation and you want to share, the first 30 minutes, Kari, it is raw, it is powerful. It will make you cry most nights because the stories are just amazing and epic. And we do that every Wednesday. And then we do a quick little breakdown of what the ER shred is in the simplest form. But if you wanted to learn more, you can come on there as well. And people can go to right to ershred.com on the second page of that website. They right at the very top, they can click on that and join us tomorrow. I can't wait to do a follow-up with you. I can't wait to keep celebrating you. Keep showing up, girl. We're
Thank
all
you.
so proud of you. Thank you, thank you, thank
Love
you
you
so much
too.
again. All right, guys. Have an awesome night. We'll talk to you soon.